I'm about to uncover the dark side of Looksmaxxing. And Looksmaxxing means maxing out your looks so that you look your absolute best. Now, if you're a guy who's excited to glow up and start your Looksmaxxing journey, be careful because this journey has a lot of traps. There's a lot of misinformation everywhere, and without guidance, you can end up lost, overwhelmed, and even isolated. This happened to me. So after uploading hundreds of Looksmaxxing videos, it's time I expose the 5 ways that it can actually ruin your life. But I'll also share how to avoid each of these traps so that you can have your glow up safely, you can feel better, and finally unlock your full potential. The first trap kind of crept up on me. There was a time when I was so caught up with looking perfect that I wouldn't even leave my place unless everything was on point. I had overcomplicated skincare, hair care, and workout routines. My hair had to be perfect, my skin free of any pimples, and I had to wear the best outfit that didn't hide my gains. And maybe you get what I mean. All of this content about Looksmaxxing, it makes it easy to chase those impossible standards. In fact, a 2022 survey about body image showed that nearly 40% of men are insecure about their looks. And 85% of men don't think they're muscly enough. This obsession got to the point that it was stopping me from living my life. It paralyzed me. I couldn't be spontaneous. I couldn't live in the present moment. And as a result, I missed out on opportunities, all because I was worried about my appearance. Maybe I wasn't wearing the right outfit or whatever, so I would just say no and not meet up with my friends, right? And being honest here, I also felt this pressure of having to look good all the time, because it's literally what I talk about in my content. So when I go out, it's very common that guys who watch my content come up to me to chat, to take a photo, and I'm all for that. I love that. But I felt like I had to look perfect all the time. Now, I get that this might sound too intense to happen to you, but that's exactly why you need to be careful. The deeper you dive into this Looksmaxxing rabbit hole, the easier it is to be consumed. So it's important to keep an awareness of this trap so that it doesn't creep in and catch up with you. And it took a while, but I finally realized, what's the point of improving my looks if I'm not going out, if I'm not socializing and enjoying my life? Life is too short to stress about being perfect, right? So to regain balance and control and to avoid this first Looksmaxxing trap, stop overthinking. Focus on improving one pillar of your looks. Maybe it's your hair, or just your skin, or just your fashion, whatever you want. You just need to keep things simple. Don't go overboard. If you're not seeing perfect progress, it's not all over. Take a balanced, slow approach if you want to. That's fine. It still gets you girls, it still gets you respect from guys and a better life. So enjoy the journey. There's no rush. And I know that obviously you want to keep leveling up, but keep it on a healthy level, because the truth is, perfection doesn't allow you to move forward. On the flip side of that, what if you're frustrated and seeing no results, right? You're seeing no progress and you feel like maybe your genetics are holding you back. Look, I know these are tough, frustrating thoughts, but they're actually another Looksmaxxing trap. You see, psychologists have found that people who often compare themselves to others, they create this self-fulfilling prophecy. Because it's easy to look at guys who seem like they have it all and think that your genes are holding you back. You will never be as tall. You will never have as strong of a jawline or the bright body proportions or whatever it is. It's not about that. Listen, I get it. If you're not born looking like a Brad Pitt 10, then what's the point, right? You might feel like you're just never gonna achieve that, and that heaviness, that's gonna weigh you down. But here's the thing, you don't want to fall for the trap of aiming to become someone you're not, or reaching some unattainable standard. What you need to do is transform into your version of a 10. How you use comparison can either inspire you to take action, or it can just be an excuse to give up. So to avoid this second Looksmaxxing trap, this is what you have to do. First, you have to list all of the areas that you want to change about yourself. Then split each point into 2 columns. 1, the areas within your control, things that you can actually change. And then 2, the areas outside of your control. These things, they cannot be controlled by you. These areas outside of your control, they're things that you have to stop comparing yourself to, or even thinking about it, honestly, because it just wastes time. And maybe you've heard of that height increasing surgery that's out now. It turns out that some guys are paying $100,000 to $200,000 for it. It's not covered through insurance. Look, I'm 5'9". All right, and sure, I would love to be 6 foot tall. There's just no way that I'm gonna break my legs, have metal rods inserted, and be in bed for months just to grow 3 inches taller. Don't fall for that Looksmaxxing trap of taking things too far. You need to know that right now you might be at your version of a 5 or 6. So stop dreaming about becoming some famous celebrity or a random Chad on Instagram who's got all the genetic gifts. Instead, focus on what is required for you to get to your version of a 10. Take Bruno Mars, for example. He's 5'5". That's the bottom 10% of men's height in the US. So by Looksmaxxing standards, he shouldn't be attractive. But if you ask girls, the majority are gonna tell you he's got it going on. Why? Because he's focused on what he can control. He improved his looks, his style, his charisma, his career, his artistry, and his mentality. So yeah, he doesn't have that height, but he's massively talented. He stands out, he radiates confidence. He's got an incredible smile. Glamour magazine literally rated him as one of the sexiest men alive. He's 5'5". And look, if the younger, unsuccessful version of him constantly compared and thought that there was no hope, where would he be? You see, I love it when people reach their potential. Over the years, I've seen so many guys like you surprise themselves when they realize how much of a transformation they're capable of. So instead of focusing on the things that you can't control, shift your focus to the levers that you can still pull. This will break you free instead of breaking your legs, and you can actually accelerate your transformation. But while you're glowing up, there's a third Looksmaxxing trap that can sabotage your dating life. And before we even get there, I just want to say that as much as you might want to focus on leveling up your looks, you also need to elevate your mind. You should absolutely be working on having the right mindset, because that's what's going to allow you to achieve true growth. And as men, I don't know why, but it's almost taboo to talk about mental wellness. And I hope that if you're watching this video and you're on your Looksmaxxing journey, that you also take some time to grow and expand your mind. I recommend you have high-level conversations with someone you can trust. And our sponsor, BetterHelp, offers just that. Therapists that you can connect with. Because talking to your friends, it's great, right? It's fine. But what if you could talk to someone who studied the human mind and does that for a living? That's a whole new level, and frankly, our friends just can't get to that level. And the best part is that you can say whatever you want, anything that you're going through, without the need to feel embarrassed or feel like you have to hold things back like you might do with your friends. Most guys just want to keep these thoughts and emotions to themselves, but there's more power in sharing that with someone who can guide you through those moments. So instead of holding it all in because it might feel like a burden to go talk to your friends about something, that's the perfect time to have a conversation with a professional from BetterHelp. People seem to think, especially men, that therapy is for when something goes wrong. A difficult breakup, family situation, but the reality is that therapy will also guide you through good times and make you a better man, because when you understand yourself, your mind, the reason why you behave or feel a certain way, then you become better, and that's just a fact. And it's so easy. You just go to betterhelp.com/AlexCosta, you get matched with a professional with years of experience, and you can do it all from your phone, your computer, you can do a video chat, you can do messaging or just a phone call. There's no need to go into a physical place, which is not only convenient, but also means you have privacy. So head over to betterhelp.com/AlexCosta and get a special discount on your first month for being a subscriber here. Now, as you go through this glow up, the quantity and the quality of girls that you attract will also increase, and that's one of the benefits, right? But if you're not careful, this can actually backfire. And I'll tell you a story. So during my teens and my 20s, when I was single, I thought about dating models all the time, right? That was like my ultimate goal. I'm like, I want to date this gorgeous model. They seem to have it all. That's what I want. Looking back now, I didn't realize this, but I suffer from what psychologists call the halo effect. It's when one positive trait about someone outshines everything else. It kind of blinds you and causes you to have basically unrealistic assumptions about them. So naturally, when dating, I would go for models, right? That was my type. They had to be 10s. I always be excited to see how things would go with them, but a lot of the dates were boring. There was zero compatibility. And that's when I realized something important. And I know this sounds like common sense, but sometimes you forget that just because someone is a 10 on the outside, it doesn't mean they're your perfect match. If you become obsessed with looks, you won't filter people the right way, and you'll actually attract girls that are also obsessed with looks. This is the perfect recipe for a shallow relationship. The best connections come from more than just the physical. So focus on finding someone who can vibe with you on a much deeper level. That way you'll attract women who are not only beautiful, of course, go for your type, but also have that personality and that character to match. But honestly, I think this is just a lesson that you have to go through, you have to experience for yourself, because I remember how amazing the feeling was when I had my glow up and I went from being invisible, being ignored by all these women, to suddenly having abundance, right? So much that I could pick and choose from, and most were 100% my type. So I thought I had it all figured out. So I get it if you go a bit overboard, but just make sure that you don't limit yourself just because of looks. You don't want to be 40, married with kids, and realize that you built a life with the wrong person. This next trap, in my opinion, is one of the most heartbreaking effects that Looksmaxxing is having on young guys today. This generation is one of the loneliest. You can look that up. You can look at reports from the American Psychological Association, for example, that says that over 36% of American adults feel serious loneliness. In fact, young adults aged 18 to 35, which is the majority of my audience, they report the highest levels of loneliness. Guys are constantly online and they go down these deep rabbit holes, and it makes them develop these unrealistic views of what actually brings happiness to their lives. One example is this massive wave of male body dysmorphia. A study last year found that 54% of men showed symptoms. And guess what? It was higher than women's. Women's is at 49%. That's wild. It's so easy to compare ourselves to models, to bodybuilders, and the top 1%. So as men, we've tied our self-worth to these impossible standards. Who do you see on social media? Is it the average guy with a dad bod going to work every day? Or is it the Chad with all the muscles, all the girls, all the money? But the thing is, that's just not how the majority of men live. It really resulted in guys feeling as if they have no choice but to make crazy decisions to level up their looks. They take things too far and go through risky, irreversible surgeries like breaking their legs and having metal rods put in them. Personally, I highly recommend staying clear of those types of surgeries. They're risky, and honestly, they prey on your insecurities, and of course, they prey on your wallet. So putting this video together, it actually made me realize how important it is to have a safe space to discuss your self-image that's not toxic. When I was in high school and college, I needed a place where I could get advice. I always wished that I could connect with cool guys also working to reach their full potential. And back then, there was no YouTube, right? I'm kind of old. There was no guides, no help. I knew there were benefits for being attractive. I knew I wanted to glow up. I just really didn't know how to until much later in my life. I wanted to unlock the advantages that being an attractive man gives you. And we know there are advantages. And because of that, I'm working on something special, something some of you already know. It's an exclusive community that I'm building with the main goal to give you a place to connect with me and a place to connect with other guys who are also on this journey. The journey of unlocking your attractive male advantage. So stay tuned for more. But it's this final trap that made me realize what Looksmaxxing can and cannot give you. Your Looksmaxxing journey is meant to be enjoyable, not an isolating and painful experience. The whole reason you, me, or anyone else got into Looksmaxxing is to look better. And in improving our looks, we expect life to get better, right? But unfortunately, the truth isn't that simple. And it's actually a common misconception that fame and success brings happiness. And we always hear about these models, right? Models, actors, celebrities who, despite their seemingly perfect lives, they battle with depression, loneliness, unhealthy relationships. I'm telling you guys, yes, nailing that perfect look can and will open doors, turn heads, but thinking that it's the golden ticket to everything in life, including happiness, might lead you down a path of disappointment. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about maximizing your appearance. It's literally my job here, it's my purpose, and I will continue to do it, but to truly transform your life, you have to pair it with some serious inner work. So make sure to invest into healthy habits. Spend time with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones. Spend time with your God if you're religious. These things, they just help keep you grounded. They help you not mix up your priorities. Looksmaxxing gives you superpowers, right? But glowing up without understanding these 5 traps, it's like having a superpower but not knowing how to use it, or worse, using it to become a villain. Don't lose yourself and be overly critical, because if you look great, but then you're insecure, you feel terrible, you feel isolated, what's the point? Take a minute to remember why you want this superpower in the first place. And it's to have a better life with more opportunities and more fulfillment. And now that you're ready for these superpowers, I have a glow up playlist right here, ready for you to unlock those superpowers.